Welcome, everyone, to this briefing brought to you by the Israel Defense and Security Forum, IDSF. It is a great pleasure, as always, to be joined today by the founder and chairman of IDSF, Brigadier General Amir Avivi. General, thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure.
General, at the top of the news, everyone is discussing and speculating whether there will, in fact, be a hostage deal, whether there will be a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas. What can you share with us?
Well, I think that Hamas is under a lot of pressure. He sees the Israeli government determined to destroy Hamas and go into Gaza City, major stronghold of Hamas, one of two left. And because of this pressure, they want to postpone it, they want to reorganize, and they're starting to talk about a hostage deal. A few months ago, the Prime Minister really wanted this partial hostage deal. But at this stage, I think that the Prime Minister understands that if he goes now to a partial deal, he might endanger the goals of war. It might endanger the hostages who are not going to be released. It might endanger the ability to eradicate Hamas because of the continuous international pressure that is mounting, and also the ability of the IDF with the reserve to sustain a long war. It's obvious that if there is a partial hostage deal, the IDF will have to retreat from almost all the areas the IDF conquered, and it took a long time to do that, to get control of the 3/4 of Gaza. So it seems like at this stage, there is only one way forward. Moving forward, going into Gaza City and destroying Hamas, and bringing back the hostages through the destruction of Hamas, or the surrender, the unconditional surrender of Hamas, and not through deals anymore.
Now, this strategy, is this coming from a place of weakness or a place of strength from the Prime Minister's perspective?
So I think that, to be able to move forward all the time towards achieving the goals of war and the destruction of Hamas amid all this international pressure, and also campaigns inside Israel and demonstrations and so on, this is strength. But it's also a very rational assessment of the situation, understanding that in order to achieve all the goals, this is what we need to do. We need to move forward, conquer Gaza City, and following that, the central camps, and win decisively, destroy Hamas, and then release the hostages and demilitarize the whole Gaza Strip.
And there are many detractors who are saying that there's not a chance in the world that Hamas would agree to all of the terms of a comprehensive deal. And therefore, this is really just a stalling tactic. And in fact, the Prime Minister is not interested in a negotiated deal. How would you respond to that?
Well, it's not about Hamas agreeing. It's about Hamas surrendering. It's about us destroying them. And at the end of the day, when you talk about military stuff, this is physics. Once you go in and you take over the area and destroy them, that's it. They don't have where to run anymore. I mean, two areas that they're still controlling, the most important one, and really the place where is the center of government, is the city of Gaza. And by taking over the city of Gaza, Hamas will be a complete verge of destruction. And then the question is there going to be a collapse, or we'll also have to go to Deir el-Balah? But the destruction of Hamas is imminent. And it's just a matter of executing the military plans, going in and doing the job. It's just like, before going to Berlin in the Second World War. I mean, it doesn't make sense, after a whole war to stop at the outskirts of Berlin and say, you know what, maybe I won't go in and, win decisively the war. Doesn't make sense. And Gaza City is the Berlin of Hamas. And therefore, we need to go in and destroy them and bring a collapse to their military and governmental capabilities. And this collapse will enable to create the terms for the release of the hostages. It might happen in different scenarios. One scenario is that just before complete destruction, Hamas surrenders and says, okay, stop. We're laying down our weapons, giving you the hostages. Let us go out. We want to get out of Gaza. Another scenario is that there is a collapse of Hamas, and then all these kidnappers, they stay without Hamas, like there's no sense keeping the hostages, and then you negotiate specifically with the different kidnappers to release the hostages, give them money, and let them go out of Gaza. Of course, everything I'm saying is complicated, it's dangerous, but this is the way the government sees the following steps. And we have to understand that this also connects, the timetable connects also to the plans that follow the destruction of Hamas and bringing the hostages, which is the regional peace agreements. Many things are going on. I mean, there's a very strange situation that on one hand, you look at what's happening now, and it seems like Israel has never had worse relations. Everybody seems to be against us, and you have campaigns and so on. And yet, maybe in 3, 4 months, 5 months, suddenly, following a decisive win in Gaza, you'll see peace agreements. Some of them maybe we haven't even dreamt about peace agreements like that. Might be Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, of course, Oman, Indonesia. And so we are in a moment that we can shift everything around. But the focal point that enables us to change completely everything is winning decisively and as fast as possible, because pressure is mounting internationally, but also talking about our society and also the reservists. So one way, we need to move forward. Forward, there's no way back. That's it.
Now, this continued campaign to paint Israel as the aggressor and torturer and creating mass starvation in Gaza is just not going away. And the mainstream media continues to report on it. Israelis continue to share the truth. Kogat releases images of Hamas themselves attacking Gaza, and nothing seems to work. We can't get the message out. Do you think that this PR campaign is having a real impact on the prime minister or the defense establishment making these decisions? Or is there is a way to kind of separate the two? There's this PR war that we're not succeeding in right now, but it's not really having an effect on strategy in Gaza.
No, I think it's having a lot of effect. I mean, it's a big campaign, which Israel really has a hard time dealing with, and this is affecting decision making. So it's affecting one thing that it really made an impact is Israel's decision to flood Gaza with humanitarian aid. If before that we were saying, we'll bring humanitarian aid according to international law, the minimum required. We saw that this is not working. We cannot stop the campaign. And now the government is flooding Gaza with humanitarian aid in any way possible, from the air, from land, from the sea, letting other countries bring aid, really building humanitarian zones and so on. This is one impact. But the other impact is it's actually this pressure that is undermining a partial deal. Because when Israel feels that the pressure is mounting and we don't have a lot of time, it means we cannot do a partial deal. We cannot wait 60 days. We cannot retreat and then have to conquer everything again. So this is why the government is moving faster towards taking over Gaza. So it's the same international community that doesn't want us to go into Gaza City that is making us going into Gaza City and moving much faster.
And why would you say that there are segments of Israeli society that just don't understand that they want a deal now, but as you're saying, because of the pressure that they're kind of buying into, it's really hurting their overall goal. Why is it so many months and that they just continue that force and don't see the world the way you do?
Look, there is a big part of the mainstream media in Israel that has been pushing almost from day one a narrative that says It's just about the hostages. We need to do everything to return them, even if it means stopping the war and completely surrendering. And they completely disregard the repercussions of not destroying Hamas. They don't care. They say, we'll deal with this later, whatever it is. It's basically promoting again the idea of disengagement, of simply retreating from Gaza exactly as we did 20 years ago. But they say, look, give us the hostages, we're willing to do anything. And this is exactly what Hamas planned. Hamas took these hostages in the first place in order to bring Israel to a surrender, to not destroy him. And this is the one thing Israel cannot do. Israel cannot allow a reality where they manage to use the hostages in order to prevent a defeat of Hamas. Hamas needs to be defeated. So we pressured a lot Hamas throughout the war. We got to the point where Hamas agreed again and again to hostage deals because it was under a lot of pressure. But now, at this point, when you look at the overall assessment and you understand the overall picture after almost 2 years, we understand we cannot do any more partial deals. We need to go in and bring our hostages through a total victory, through winning in the war. As, by the way, most of the wars in history worked. Usually first you win against the enemy and then you negotiate release of prisoners, right? So this is basically what we need to do. There are several ways to manage and release the hostages, and everybody, I don't know anybody in Israel that doesn't want the hostages released. We all do. But I think that the vast majority of the society is not willing to give their existence up in order to release hostages. We understand we need to do everything. We need to win the war and we need to release the hostages. Releasing the hostages is part of the goals. It's part of winning the war.
Now, General, you are preparing for another trip to Washington, D.C., and I know that you can't share with us the complete agenda and itinerary, but to the extent that you can, are there any significant talking points that you plan on focusing on?
Yeah, so I think that definitely continuing to push in Gaza the strategy of the need to really achieve the goals of war and eradicate Hamas completely and release the hostages, continue to push the idea of dealing with Hamas leadership in Qatar, extraditing this leadership to the US. This can help us a lot to amount the pressure and destroy Hamas. Also, continue the pressure in Lebanon to dismantle Hezbollah. It seems that the Lebanese government is determined to dismantle Hezbollah. This is very good news. It requires continuous pressure from the US. Israel has declared today that if the Lebanese army will dismantle Hezbollah and the other militias, Israel will withdraw back to the international border and leave these 5 points that we are holding inside Lebanon. But this requires Lebanon to completely dismantle Hezbollah. It seems there is the motivation. The question is, do they have the capability? And here you need massive assistance of the US and also Israel continuing to degrade the Hezbollah. Even today, we targeted Hezbollah terrorists in South Lebanon. Israel is operating almost on a daily basis. One big issue is Syria. I would like to see Syria disintegrated. I would like to see Syria broken into different areas, meaning the Druze area, working with Israel, the Kurdish area, also with relationship with the US and Israel, the Alawi area, and the Sunni area of Julani. But I think that the administration, in Europe are pushing towards unification of Syria. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's doable. I think that this different ethnic groups are going to continue fighting each other. If Durrani gets control of other areas, he will do ethnic cleansing, and everybody knows that. So in Syria, they're not very happy to unite. And my personal projection is that civil war will return to Syria in one way or another. It's not a stabilized place. And we need to take care of our security. And at the moment, there are discussions led by the US about some security agreement between Israel and Syria. It worries me because my concern is that in this agreement, at the end of the day, we'll pay and we'll retreat. And then nobody knows really what will happen in Syria. I don't think we can trust the intentions or the capabilities of the Syrian regime. So things in Syria seem at the moment unclear and where this is going, and we'll probably understand in a few weeks what agreements were achieved and what it means for the security of the state of Israel. Syria, by the way, just like Iran, is experiencing a huge lack of water, the worst situation in the last 37 years. There is lack of food, there is lack of water, and this is going to create a lot of internal turmoil. The Syrians are not really managing to create any kind of reasonable stability inside Syria. And the same is happening in Iran. In Iran, there has been in the last week or two very strong demonstrations in 155 different cities. And these demonstrations are ongoing and are about cost of living, about the lack of water, about the cost of fuel and food. And it doesn't seem that the Iranian regime has the tools to really deal with this. And instead of trying to solve a reality where people are talking about maybe in October, there will be no water at all in Tehran. Instead of that, the regime is talking about renewing their ballistic industry and nuclear program, which is crazy. They don't have water to drink. So it's also very unclear what will happen in the coming months in Iran also. So everything is very fragile and it's not clear, but one thing is clear. We have weakened dramatically all our enemies. Hezbollah, who would have imagined 2 years ago? We all remember the mighty big terror organization of Hezbollah with 150,000 rockets and missiles. And now they're all alone and on the verge of being dismantled. The Syrian regime, well, it's with the army and everything, and the army is wiped out. No Syria regime. The country has fallen into pieces and hardly have food and water. Iran, that has been set back many, many years, and they face themselves huge threats. We have hit again and again the Houthis, also weakened them, but they are pretty stubborn, this Yemeni faction, and continue to shooting at us. And the challenge with the Houthis is really managing to get the relevant intelligence to destroy their leadership, as we did in Lebanon. And with most of Hamas and the Iranian military forces. So a lot of work to do with the Houthis, but still now the center of gravity is in Gaza. The army has done a lot of preparations. There have been a lot of talk, about chief of staff disagreeing with the cabinet and, pushing for a hostage deal, yes or not. I suggest really rising above all this noise and understanding the simple truth. The IDF is going to attack and conquer the city of Gaza. That's the simple truth. And it's going to do exactly what the cabinet instructed them. Unless the prime minister changed his mind and does a partial deal. But if I have to assess what will happen, I think the prime minister is very determined to destroy Hamas and move into Gaza City. And once we do, it will take us a few weeks and we'll be in a completely different reality with Hamas on the verge of complete destruction. And once we take over Gaza City, then we have to see if there is a need to do the last move into the central camps or there will be a collapse before. It's hard to predict. We'll have to wait and see.
I want to thank all of the viewers and supporters for sharing your questions, your comments. It's very important to allow us to get you what you want to know. General, people are asking about a timeline for the Gaza City takeover. And you're saying a matter of weeks before it's clear, but how long until there's actually an operation taking into account evacuating civilians and whatnot?
So the prime minister is pushing to do it as fast as possible because of all the reasons we talked about. And we cannot discuss exact timetable, but I think that soon enough we'll see the IDF starting the operation. Once it starts, it should take the IDF a few weeks to conquer all of Gaza City. The big issue is not the conquering part. This can happen fast. It's clearing all the tunnels and all the booby-trapped houses and everything that you have in this city. It's a challenge. It will take a bit of time. And we don't really know. It's very hard to know exactly what is the level of readiness of the remaining forces of Hamas in Gaza City. What's the motivation? What's the capability? It's hardly the same Hamas from the 6th of October. It's something completely different. And on the other hand, the IDF every week in this war just got stronger and stronger. So yes, it's a long war, and yes, the reservists are a bit tired, but in Gaza, most of the fighting is going to be done by the regular army. And for many of our soldiers, they are new. They have been fighting only for a few months, not for years. Every 4 months, we have tens of thousands of new warriors that join the army. And so every battalion that goes to fight now in Gaza City, at least half of the battalion, for them, it's pretty new. It's not that they have been doing that for years. The level of motivation of the young generation is unbelievable. And we see it in the numbers that are joining the combat units are skyrocketing. It's amazing to see. We have an amazing, amazing young generation, really, really brave soldiers, highly motivated, and understand how important it is to win. They're just waiting to be given the command to go in and do the job.
Brigadier General Amir Avivi, thank you as always for sharing all of this with us and all of your continued leadership throughout this war. Thank you to all of our viewers and supporters for tuning into this briefing. We will be back with you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. here in Israel. Until then, stay safe, stay strong. Take care, everyone.